Do not believe people who say the entire world is watching you or Ukraine. Most people have no idea about anything much more important than Ukraine, not to mention that it's a symbol similar to Ukraine, but a symbol that pertains a rising superpower, China, and America cannot afford or should not think it can afford to lose for friends, and the friends that will stick with you tend to be conservative, because conservatives understand freedom. Liberals in America know how to liberate us from marriage. Generally, freedom below the belt is what they excel in. They will not remain reliable friends of Taiwan when push comes to trade. Has played the role of a useful idiot, because it was the Taiwanese and the Hong Kongese who saved China by pumping billions of dollars, thus sending a signal to America, hey, let's all get rich. They are not really communist. It's safe. This was the signal from the mid-1980s on. You have to keep in mind your geopolitical situation. Taiwan supports China in terms of all the islands, which are claimed also by Vietnam or the Philippines or Indonesia. Taiwan should not sound, Taipei should not sound like Beijing.
Or even Japan.
Or
with
even
Senkaku
Japan.
Islands. Yeah, the official position is that Diaoyutai should belong to the Mother Republic of China.
Yes. Okay, so there is lots of cogitation. There must be a brainstorm, and Taiwan needs to figure itself out. Plan minimum, plan maximum. That would be liberation of the Chinese people from the yoke of the communists. We used to call it unleashing Chiang Kai-shek. Unfortunately, that never happened. But when you look around, who's your friend? Japan.
Yeah.
Australia. If the Australians are involved, that's a good thing, because it means the United States is more simpatico.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Freedom is Not Free channel. 各位欢迎来到我们新闻硬邦邦听新闻最爽的频道。My name is Stan. Today, I have an honor to visit IWP, the Institute of World Politics, and talk to Dr. Chodakiewicz.
你好吗?
Oh, you speak Chinese. Great.
No, I can read some characters because I speak Japanese.
Oh, 日本語。
いや、日本語でわかりますか?
はい、できます。できます。
ね、
はい。台湾でも飲みました。
僕の奥さんは日本人でした。
僕の奥さんは台湾人です。
ああ、そうなん。
日本人ではありません。
はい。
Anyway, yeah.
Sorry to the Luchians who suffered under my family's occupation.
Many of the Taiwanese people actually speak pretty good Japanese, because Taiwan used to be a part of Japan for quite a long time.
That's what I said.
Yeah. We can talk about
it's an inside joke, only the Luchians will understand. Yeah.
And actually, my in-laws, my wife's grandma, she only speaks Japanese and Taiwanese. She doesn't speak any Mandarin. So
Luchu. They are the same people as in Okinawa.
Yeah, very closely related.
Yes.
Yeah. So, wow, it was a surprise. And let me tell you a little bit about Professor Chodakiewicz. He's a professor of history and the Kościuszko Chair in Polish Studies, and he's the director of the Center for Intermarium Studies. We can talk a little bit about intermarium in today's interview too. And today, I'd like to focus the interview on the issues of communism, propaganda, geopolitics, and counterintelligence. So we've all been following. Before we start, you have a very interesting chair. Could you tell everyone about it?
Yes, well,
it has some history, right?
It has some history. Originally, it was the favorite chair of Adam Ulam of Harvard. a famous Sovietologist who was a friend of my family. After he died, his widow gave it to me. So I have his books on the shelf and I have his chair, which I can't fix. A leg is missing, but otherwise it's an heirloom. I cherish it. Adam Ulam was one of my gurus, one of the very few solid scholars as far as Sovietology or Soviet history, along with my other professors, Martin Melia at Berkeley and Robert Conquest at the Hoover. There was another one with whom I was not close, but he was great, really great as far as Russian history, Professor Richard Pipes. Professor Richard Pipes. He was fantastic too.
Wow.
So I keep the chair.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And it's
wish
still-
I could keep all of them in my office, then we would have a lot of fun together, but
It still functions pretty well, even though
the chair
it
is
has only
great.
3 legs.
They
yeah.
are gone, but their spirit is here in their books.
Yeah.
It's really important that you leave something behind. Children and books.
And books, yeah, for the children to read. So that's-
Yes, for the children to read.
yeah.
To infect them with freedom.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and that's what IWP does, and I hope that more Taiwanese
Day
people
in
learn
and
about it.
day out.
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Chodakiewicz, I think the entire world has been following with full-scale invasion of Ukraine and Russia's aggression against it. And you have been researching this issue pretty deeply. But most of my viewers, they come from Taiwan, a country which is also surrounded by not very...
Water.
By water, yeah. And it has a very nasty neighbor. That is constantly threatening to attack. And there are some parallels between Russia's propaganda against Ukraine and what China does against Taiwan. From your perspective, what key lessons should Taiwan draw from Ukraine's war experience in terms of resilience, building alliances, and facing a larger authoritarian neighbor?
Lesson number 1, si vis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, prepare for war.
Yeah.
That's an overriding lesson. Lesson number 2, do not believe people who say the entire world is watching you or Ukraine. Most people have no idea about anything in the world. Some of the world's elites are watching what's going on. Some of them think it's pertinent to their interests, others less so. It is mostly the United States and the rest of the West that pays attention to the situation in Ukraine, especially the post-Soviet neighbors, former slaves of the communists. So the Poles, the Balts, Hungarians, Romanians, etc. The neighborhood is paying attention, serious attention. Others, say Germany, France, are uncomfortable and they're put on the spot to make sure that they somehow participate in things so they wouldn't appear powerless. But if they do not put their money where the mouth is, they are powerless. The leadership is squarely at the foot of Donald Trump now, or America. Taiwan should not confuse noises and even sympathy for real assistance. So what Taiwan now has is the United States. So far we have stood firmly by Taiwan. And we are going to react. We have no choice, otherwise US power would become irrelevant, and it can't because Taiwan straddles important sea lanes of communication. It's much more important than Ukraine Not to mention that it's a symbol similar to Ukraine, but a symbol that pertains a rising superpower, China, and America cannot afford or should not think it can afford to lose Taiwan. America already lost China because of American liberals and leftists who just decided to cut Chiang Kai-shek off. It was a betrayal, but don't worry, it's the norm. President Roosevelt and his liberals sold Poland, Catholic Poland, down the river in Yalta. And they sold half of Europe too. In other words, look for friends, and the friends that will stick with you tend to be conservative, because conservatives understand freedom. Liberals in America know how to liberate us from marriage. Generally, freedom below the belt is what they excel in. They will not remain reliable friends of Taiwan when push comes to shove.
You've been talking about how the West liberals are acting, and a lot of those things, they have to do with communist subversion, because there are many regimes that are actively communicating with far left organizations, like recently with Antifa here in the United States, which was designated as a terrorist organization. Could you tell the viewers, how do those communist regimes subvert, and how do they operate abroad? How is the CCP, what would the CCP likely do to subvert Taiwan? What their next steps would be?
Well, since at least the revolution in Russia and the Bolshevik takeover of the revolution in the state, there have been efforts to enable agents of influence and useful idiots in foreign countries, including the United States, and to penetrate our governments in the West with the communist agentura. Taiwan, I'm afraid, has played the role of a useful idiot, because it was the Taiwanese and the Hong Kongese who saved China by pumping billions of dollars, thus sending a signal to America, hey, let's all get rich. They are not really communist. It's safe. This was the signal from the mid-1980s on. It's only been recently that the Taiwanese have seemingly woken up. But 30, 40 years of ties, relationships, and networks, some of which secretly have burrowed into the fabric of Taiwan's society, will eventually cripple Taiwan unless both the Liuqiu and the Han people of Taiwan get together to get rid of the Chinese Communist Party networks. Intellectual networks, so agents of influence, and regular spy networks, people, including some high-ranking officers in the military and intelligence, that have been turned.
Yeah.
I hear there was even a village mayor who was a dual citizen.
Yeah, she never gave up her Chinese citizenship.
Absolutely.
Never.
Absolutely.
Never. Even though she was supposed to do so.
I mean, a good agent would have severed the links and pretended to
at
be
least formally,
communist, but no, they are so brazen, they do not feel it's necessary, which means on Taiwan, you have people who think that Taiwan and China are the same.
Yeah, there is a saying
mentally,
that they're family, right?
Mentally, they can be a family, but they're members of one's family that we don't go out to dinner with.
Yeah.
You know, you have an uncle who's a pedophile, stay away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's family, so it's embarrassing, but it doesn't mean you have to enable him. Bring him to your preschool. So Taiwan has a problem, but it's essentially a problem like in the West, meaning everybody wants to make money. Everybody would like to participate in what seems to be the way of the future. Taiwan has a problem and it needs to address it. At the same time, Taiwan is a democratic, open society, so it has to set up boundaries. For instance, your officials should take a class called a Counterintelligence in Democratic Society by Professor David Thomas here at IWP.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
I promise
to
you,
send some of the Taiwanese officials here to
it's a
learn
good
more.
idea.
Yeah.
Also, the Taiwanese, despite history, have to be open-minded. They will have to make up their mind. Who are we, Taiwanese, or are we tribes, Liu Chu or Han? If Han, then it'll be easier for the communists of China to gobble you up under the pretense of nationalism, because the communists, like Stalin in 1941, suddenly Stalin started talking, after Hitler invaded, started talking about Mother Russia. He was the guy who was exterminating millions of Russians and who suppressed nationalism, patriotism, and any sense of national solidarity. But then when he needed it instrumentally, he supported something called National Bolshevism. In Poland, they had a secret police general. His name was Moczar. The guy specialized in pretending to be a patriot. And he rallied patriot against those communists who are not in his party faction.
And Stalin was not Russian himself, he was Georgian.
It doesn't matter. Napoleon was not French. You can always pretend to be anything you want to be. That's postmodernism for you.
Yeah.
Now it's a legitimate intellectual proposition. In any event, Taiwan has conceptual thinking to do about itself. Maybe, you know, the Taiwanese will decide, heck, we're going to conquer, we're going to defeat the communists and liberate China. Good for them. But Taiwan has to look around. America is an ally. It's a bit of an exotic ally because it's far away. Also, we have problems fighting wars that are considered colonial. We lose 2 people and we evacuate Afghanistan. So you have to keep in mind American friends here, usually conservatives. You have to keep in mind your geopolitical situation. Taiwan supports China in terms of all the islands which are claimed also by Vietnam or the Philippines or Indonesia. Taiwan should not sound, Taipei should not sound like Beijing.
Or even Japan.
Or
With
even
Senkaku
Japan.
Islands. Yeah, the official
Senkaku.
position is that Diaoyutai should belong to the Mother Republic of China.
Yes. Okay, so there is lots of cogitation. There must be a brainstorm, and Taiwan needs to figure itself out. Plan minimum, plan maximum. That would be liberation of the Chinese people from the yoke of the communists. We used to call it unleashing Chiang Kai-shek. Unfortunately, that never happened. But when you look around, who's your friend? Japan.
Yeah.
Australia. If the Australians are involved, that's a good thing because it means the United States is more simpatico. You know, look at Guam. There should be more frequent naval and land maneuvers, etc., exchanges, etc., etc., etc.
Dr. Chodakiewicz, you just said that many of the Taiwan case supporters here in the United States are conservatives. And
If they know about
if they know about Taiwan.
foreign policy, because this is an attitude
Yeah.
in America, like every empire, like the Roman Empire. The United States is inwardly looking,
Yeah.
and the conservatives tend quite naturally to focus on their own navel, meaning they care about America most.
Yeah, of course.
There are conservatives who are very much interested in foreign policy. For example, my boss, Professor John Lechowski, has retooled himself, and in addition to his main field, which used to be Sovietology, for many years now, he's been paying attention to China.
China. Yeah.
He's a serious China observer. This is new. For a long time, the United States establishment, including many conservatives, consisted of panda huggers.
Yeah.
So they all want to go to bed
With pandas.
with pandas on the mainland, not in Taiwan.
In Taiwan, there are black bears.
There you
They're
go.
cuter than pandas.
Well, we should perhaps promote the cult of
Black bear instead of a panda. I was
or cohabitation of both.
both. I wanted to ask you a question about conservatism and American conservatism, Americanism here in the United States, for the Taiwanese people, because it's the whole idea that there is a lot of misunderstanding. And if you look at the media in Taiwan, they're mostly very leftist. And the ruling
Same
party
here.
and the ruling
Same
party
in the
in
UN.
Taiwan is also
Yes.
very left-leaning on many social issues. What would you think would be the best ideas to how to build bridges between Taiwan, which is on many societal issues is very left-leaning in terms of American conservatism, and the true allies of Taiwan that are willing to provide like the best weaponry, the best training, the best resources to Taiwan, and who are mostly conservatives here in the U.S.
Okay, the conservative movement is multifarious. It's split to an extent. Now we have been dealing with the phenomenon of national conservatism or national populism, which is embodied in President Trump. This phenomenon is here to stay even when President Trump is no longer president or no longer with us. So they are national conservatives, are not conservatives Inc. Conservatives Inc. are the conservatives who give primacy to business issues.
Yeah.
And they like open borders, they would like cheap labor, immigrant labor, etc. Well, most Americans who lean right have rebelled against that. Hence Trump. So Taiwan, first of all, should develop expertise to be able to tell various people apart. There is an interest bureau, a sort of a lobby, Taiwanese lobby in town.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Taiwan has people who understand all this, but they may be focusing on DC. Taiwan, as far as it exists among foreign policy wonks and in academia, which is overwhelmingly leftist. I wouldn't say concentrate on conservatives. Send your people everywhere, including leftist academia. So perhaps it's not that bad that your leftists in power talk about some socialist arrangements, because you can then attract those who would be otherwise prone to warm, fuzzy Mao Zedong. In fact, most who love Mao Zedong will know not to approach Taiwan. But there are some other leftists. There is a big spectrum, including just mild leftists, useful idiots, etc. You can swing them around. So do not send Chiang Kai-shek types to wrong places. Send Chiang Kai-shek types to the right places. And everybody should commune on behalf of Taiwan with anybody who can be of any help and use for Taiwan. So don't put yourself in a straitjacket. We only deal with conservatives. Look at the Ukrainians. They've made some mistakes, and Zelensky was quite uppity, if you know what I mean.
No.
So he overshot, and then there was a corrective. He was put in his place, and now it's business as usual. We predicted here in this building that the President of the United States would get mad at Putin, which he did. And everything moves along. It's not a tragedy like everybody on the left had predicted.
Yes.
And many on the right were hoping our involvement with Ukraine would end, just like some on the right want to be isolationist and they don't care about Taiwan. They don't see the chessboard. They don't understand, or they refuse to care. Until the enemy lands on our shores, we shouldn't be involved, runs the mantra. You have to deal with those people too, if you're Taiwan.
So you have to be very flexible in your diplomacy.
Extremely flexible. We teach diplomacy and other
Come to IWP.
Come to IWP, absolutely, yes.
And talking
we have
about
online classes, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, you have to network, you have to meet people and learn
Absolutely.
from them directly. Talking about diplomacy and geopolitical struggles, one of your areas of expertise is the whole intermarium region. And there are many struggles that are similar to what Taiwan is facing in terms of facing strong empires surrounding the region. What parallels could you draw between Poland and the whole region, between their struggles against the USSR or the Nazi Germany and Taiwan's current situation with China?
So basically, the intermarium is the lands between the Black and Baltic Seas and the Adriatic. Because it's landmass and the only relief comes from the Carpathian chain, it's not similar geographically to an island. An island, if it's strong and single-minded, can enjoy splendid isolation. The last successful invasion of this little island called Britain was in 1066. And it only succeeded, arguably, with all due respect to the Norman invaders, the Vikings, was because other Vikings had attacked a little bit before, so the army of the defenders was busy with another invading army. After routing it, it wheeled around and went to fight another invading force. Taiwan has a giant breathing down its neck, but it's one giant. It's one giant which has been enabled by Taiwan, Hong Kong, and especially the West. We stupidly paid for the monster to become powerful. It's not the same thing as the intermarium. The intermarium's perennial problem is the alliance between Moscow and Berlin. Essentially, the Germans and the Russians develop a love affair. which ends over the dead body of Poland. Then following the necrophilia, the powers quarrel, inevitably. So this pattern has been repeated since the 18th century. Berlin and Moscow would collude to destroy Poland, and they would then try to gobble up or dominate everything else between the Black and Baltic Seas and the Adriatic.
Yeah.
Taiwan is an island. It can act like Great Britain when it wasn't strong. The intermarium is a chunk of flat land, except for the Carpathian Divide and the Pripyat marshes. So it's quite easy to overrun. Taiwan naturally has its weak spots. For instance, someone pointed out to me that the communists, the Chinese, were looking at your subway system.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, take over the subway system, move the troops, and then you will overcome the defenses. Okay, I don't know anything about your subway system. I've been to Taipei, but I don't know about the subway system. I'm sure there are vulnerable spots. The most important thing is the will to resist. The communists have been working on you for over half a century, as you know,
Yep.
on Taiwan, to break your will to resist. We are the Borg. Surrender. Resistance is futile. Heck no, it's not. Put your trust in God and never surrender. With an attitude like this, you can stand up to the overwhelming odds. Remember, initially, it'll be just you, Taiwan. Initially, before the cavalry comes. So be good and pleasant to the Japanese, because they will probably be the first real cavalry force, aside from some straight amphibious forces from Guam, the United States Marines and the United States Navy, but not the full might. America cannot commit its full, even Pacific might, because it's too close to China, and now the Chinese have the capability to destroy main ships of line. They have missiles, they have their own navy, which is pretty strong, and they have the Air Force. Now, for Japan, all of this is an existential threat. For America, it's just the loss of an empire. So, be nice to Japan. The Japanese, naturally, should be courted, including by the United States. They should be shown respect. We do not want Japan either to go rogue or join the other side. Japan was our great ally in the First World War. It's a tragedy that Japan decided we were the enemy in the Second World War. It's a tragedy that Japan, which considered and did fight the Bolsheviks in Siberia, was rerouted into China, much of it because of America's missteps. So we need Japan as an ally, and it's in Japan's interest to take care of Taiwan, to help Taiwan.
Talking about America's missteps, I know you know a lot about Henry Kissinger, and you've studied this man. What do you think Taiwan should learn from the US-China, US-PRC alignment in the 70s and Henry Kissinger's arrangements?
Well, we can go back to Henry Kissinger, but generally you have to understand certain things about the American system. We are not the evil empire. Usually we're the stupid empire, which means America does not have grand strategy. It is not China. It has no vision for the next 100 years. It oftentimes improvises, it loses interest and hops back and forth. There was a great debate in the second half of the 1940s in America into the 50s. Who lost China? And everybody was dismayed. I mean, all we had to do was shore up China's currency to avoid inflation. All we have to do is continue giving them weapons. Instead, the Soviets seized the Kwantung Army's arsenals and gave them to the communists, and the United States was confused. Why? It's the nature of the beast. We are a constitutional republic. Democracy decides. When the people get bored, politicians lose focus and leave. We are a very difficult ally. And then we wake up. It's not just Taiwan. Let's look at Nicaragua in the 70s. The Carter administration thought that the Sandinistas were reformers. They were communists. The Carter administration thought, oh, because it looks like a broad coalition, then centrist forces, including pro-business interests, would prevail. It's just completely idiotic, silly. But that's the nature of the beast here in this empire. So you have to reckon, and then the next decade witnessed the liberals, Democrats in general, trying to thwart President Reagan from helping the Nicaraguans to liberate themselves from the communists. And the communists are back in power in Nicaragua after a short respite. So once again, Taiwan's leaders need to learn about those things, or relearn.
Yeah. Do you think, you just said that sometimes America sleeps. Is America awakened now? Or not awakened enough?
We are awakened against the woke, so we are trying to fix ourselves. The president has just designated Antifa as a terrorist organization.
Yes.
It is terrorist.
They are, certainly are.
The transgender movement is in retreat. It hasn't been destroyed, but it's been routed. The reaction is violence against ICE. Sometimes you have transgendered individuals involved in violence, or people aligned with them, like the latest assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, he was his
America's
boyfriend.
dealing with its problems, and our problems are unfortunately self-inflicted. Poland was conquered by the Bolsheviks. So Poland's problems were from the outside.
Yeah.
America's problems are self-generated. We have to fix our universities and our schools. We allowed for almost a century extremists to teach our children.
Yeah.
The extremists took over not just academia, but educational establishment. And I don't mean that most teachers are extremists. No, they are mainstream. They tend to vote Democrat, true. But It's teachers' unions,
Okay.
which are like in Japan, communists or para-communists, teachers' unions. And because in the West, at least for now, the Marxist economic model has collapsed and has been discredited, at least for a generation or so. The communists have shifted to cultural criticism, a full-blown cultural criticism, and they have focused on sexuality.
Yeah.
That's a revolution. I'm sure you have that in Taiwan because Taiwan is westernized,
Yeah.
and it's a democracy. Same in Korea.
Very
In
similar
Korea,
issues. Yeah.
in Korea, there are feminist organizations that say we will not have children. Okay, you'll die out. In North Korea will be very happy, but it doesn't penetrate.
Yeah.
So what do you do in times like this? You have to prepare. You
Yeah.
have to
You have to have some
travel around,
counter-narrative,
educate
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Not only counter narrative, you have to have scholarships,
Yeah.
the entire infrastructure to take the culture back.
Yeah. And the final question, Dr. Chodakiewicz, why are communist regimes like China so successful at infiltrating international organizations? And what does this mean for Taiwan's diplomatic survival? They've been trying to join the UN and the WHO for ages, but there's the veto power.
Okay. They are successful because secular intellectuals and non-secular masses need hope. And the communists are masters of deception. Right now, as far as infiltration of institutions, that's just a question of the means.
Yeah.
The communists have money, which we gave them. So they can bribe the governments of Caribbean countries to kick out Taiwan and ban Taiwan from anything. Obviously, Taiwan is a state, so it should have a place at the table, but it doesn't. So Taiwan needs to be visible. The communists have Confucius institutes, which we have banned in America after many years. They didn't realize those were espionage/lobbying institutions. We did not realize. I mean, some of us from the very beginning understood because a few of us understand the nature of communism. So Taiwan has to replicate the effort, and also Taiwan has to differentiate between various states, various players, and prioritize its diplomatic involvement. Who's the most important? Japan, the United States first, then Australia. It would be good if Taiwan strengthened its links with Singapore. It's a tiny place, but it's an oasis, my favorite oasis in that part of the world. My sister used to live there, so my trips for Christmas were very long through Taipei or Narita. Taiwan, the Taiwanese have to sit down and figure out what they want.
Yeah.
Who they are, that's number one. Who are we? And what they want. Because saying, oh, we want independence and freedom, okay, it's a great slogan. What does it mean? You can even isolate yourself from China. Those who thought that giving money to the communists would integrate everything are getting their wish. But in a totally different form, as slaves, because that's what Beijing countenances.
Yeah.
That's the nature of communism.
Or subjects.
Taiwan
Not
has to
citizens.
realize that just because somebody speaks Russian, he's not Russian. He's a Soviet. These are not Chinese.
They're
The communists must murder the Chinese and the Chinese elite and exterminated the culture. They're only now using nationalism and Chinese past to legitimize themselves. Let Taiwan give China, communist China, lessons in history. There was a splendid lesson when finally Taiwan perked up a few weeks ago and said, what are the communists talking about? They didn't fight against the Japanese.
Yes.
We did. And then the United States chimed in.
Yeah.
Because we like when there are people in the government who understand that stuff. And Taiwan thanked the United States. So let's let Taiwan talk about everything.
And it was very good when they talked
Where
about...
are scholarships for people like Professor Döneke in Hong Kong who write about the collectivization of agriculture? The communists killed the greatest number of Chinese.
Yes. And it was also very good when President Lai talked about how Russia actually occupied more Chinese land than any other country in the world.
Absolutely.
And they are considered best friends. So why doesn't China go against Russia instead of Taiwan?
This is correct. China has already partly preempted this. If you look at the new Chinese passport, there are the contours of Greater China, which not only include Taiwan and the islands, but also the lands around the Ussuri River.
Yeah.
Chinese children are taught that Russia, in the middle of the 19th century, cannibalized northeastern Chinese empire. So Beijing is working the nationalist angle, but Taiwan should show how instrumental it is.
Yeah.
It's now permitted because the communists control the angle and they need nationalism for social mobilization and legitimacy. It's important and Taiwan should not give it away. But by the same token, Taiwan must decide what it is, Taiwan or China? Or the future liberator of China, or what?
Or its own independent state.
Yes, or its own separate state, which would not sit well with the Kuomintang.
Yes, these are very important and
So again, it
existential
starts
questions.
with us.
Yeah,
It starts with us. Who are we?
yeah.
What do we want?
And where are we going?
Yes.
What is the goal?
Yes, and what is the goal?
Thank you so much, Professor.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless the Taiwanese people and your island.
God bless Poland. God bless
Yeah.
America. God bless Taiwan.
Absolutely. God
remember.
bless people of goodwill.
Yeah. And remember that freedom is not free. Thank you.
It's never free.